go.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Masters Fantasy Show, brought to you by MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. As always, I'm joined by the Masters crew, Dynasty Al, the Doc. What's up, guys? How you doing today?
Doing great.
I've never been better.
Awesome, man. Me too. We're here talking Dynasty football. We recently just did a mock draft for Dynasty Leagues rookie drafts. Today we're going to be doing the second and the third round. Before we jump into it, if you could, hit the like and subscribe button. Come be a part of the Masters family. Love to have you. With that said, let's jump right into this. The 2.1 pick. Looks like we have...
that was me.
Oh, yeah. The Doc takes Zach Wilson.
There was a run on quarterbacks, and I panicked. No, but actually, yeah, the more I thought about it, I like the fact that I could get a starting quarterback in Zach Wilson that's talented, and the Jets did a lot to help him out in the draft. I feel really good about that spot. So even though he's the fourth quarterback on the board, I still feel comfortable taking him at 2.1. Maybe a little more comfortable than some of these other guys, especially since I already got a receiver in the first round.
Yeah, I like the pick a lot.
Yeah, I was a little shocked you took him at 2.1.
Yeah.
I actually think Zach Wilson may be like this year's Justin Herbert.
I think he
like
could
drafted ahead of some of these guys, like in the real draft.
Yeah.
When he slides behind them all here.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing too, is because he for sure is going to start week 1.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Whereas Fields and Lance, they might not see the field for, I don't know, half a season. It could be.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
and I do think
value.
This will probably be the order it goes in too. So.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, the 2.2, we got Swami taking Trey Sermon. He believes in time he'll be carrying the load in San Francisco. You guys agree or disagree?
Yes, I agree with that. I think, Raheem Mostert and Jeffrey Wilson are no long-term or short-term true answers in San Fran. So yeah, Trey Sermon comes in. He's a talented back, has a chance to seize the lead role, but it still just worries me a little bit. He was so landing spot dependent, and so anytime a guy shoots up the rookie rankings that much, I get a little nervous just because, we did not have him mocked early second round before the NFL draft. I don't think.
Like Clyde? Like Clyde?
Right, yeah. But I guess 2.2 is a lot better than 1.1. So for that reason, yeah, I think it's worth the 2.2, but little apprehensive just because very landing spot driven why he went up that high.
Right. All right, the next pick here, 2.3, we got Rondell Moore getting selected by Chris Ballard. Interesting point he had put about how vertically challenged he is. And I had seen at the 1.9, when he went Terrace Marshall over Rondell Moore was because he thought he needed a phone book to help him see over the steering wheel in the car. So size, definitely a worry here with Rondell Moore. Having said that, he's with Kyler Murray. Yep. I know you guys both love that offense. Yeah. Your guys' thoughts on this pick?
Yes, I think we both love Rondell Moore.
Love this landing spot.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the perfect landing spot in my opinion. I'm kind of surprised he didn't get more hype with the landing spot just because this is an offense that we know is going to spread it out. Although they, signed A.J. Green, that should not impact anything. I've always liked Christian Kirk, but Christian Kirk's entering the last year of his rookie deal. I think it's pretty clear to me that it's DeAndre Hopkins and then it's going to be Rondell Moore going forward in terms of who they use as weapons. And I think the number 2 receiver in that offense, which is one of the reasons why I always loved Christian Kirk, is I thought that would be his role. I like Rondell Moore a lot. I think he's going to get a ton of targets and a ton of touches. Maybe not year 1, but definitely year 2, year 3. I think he's going to be one of the better playmakers in the game. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it doesn't correlate to fantasy points just because a little touchdown dependent and stuff at times with those types of players. But I think he's going to get a lot of targets and a lot of receptions.
Yeah, Tyreke Hill started the same way. And not to compare the two, say that Rondell is Tyreke, but skill set very similar. He'll make a lot of big plays. It might not be consistent year 1, but I think, he's going to carve out a nice little role into that offense. And in the foreseeable future will be a really nice piece to have, especially at 2.3.
Yeah, not to mention, Hopkins not getting any younger either.
Yeah.
And I just want to shout out to Chris, man. You got that song stuck in my head now. Like, I wish I was a little bit taller. All right, moving on to the 2.4, we got Cadarius Tony. 40, just taking a look here, what he wrote is 40 speed at 4.39. That's nice.
Yeah.
Your guys' thoughts on Tony here at 2.4?
So it's funny is I think Tony's a guy, very gadget player-esque, kind of like what we were just saying with Rondell, except I think Rondell is actually a much more complete receiver. I mean, the way he commanded all those targets as a freshman at Purdue, where Cadarius Tony, he had some moments as a receiver, but really he was like just a true gadget all-star at Florida. Yeah, and I don't love the landing spot there. Like, had Rondell Moore ended up in New York, I wouldn't have been thrilled about it, and had Tony ended up in Arizona, I'd be more excited about Tony than I am. So for me, I know Rondell went first, but like Rondell's way more than a pick ahead of Tony for me.
As a player, I
Yeah.
agree. And it's the situation. We talked about it before the draft. I think Tony's a good player, and this would be a decent fit if they didn't already have, Galladay, Slayton, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, all these weapons. I don't know where he fits into that offense, and as much as I think he's good, I don't necessarily think he's going to be fantasy relevant, especially not this year unless they make some kind of move. But, I don't know. It was an interesting pick, I'll say that.
Yeah. This next guy on the list, 2.5, you just mentioned all the weapons in New York. Mr. Renfro was quick to point out the depth chart for the Lions. Tyrell Williams, Perriman, Cephas. So we've got Amon-Ra St. Brown at 2.5. You got to think, man, this guy's going to get some targets this year, too.
Yeah, so Amon-Ra's, he's a really good player. I've been following him a lot. If you watched our Dynasty Spotlight series way back when, we kind of gave you that spiel. I think he's going to be a really good player. Could work the slot, could work outside as well. Either way, he's going to be coming into a great situation. Maybe not quarterback-wise, but the fact that the depth chart's pretty gross, for lack of a better term, is great for him. And it's a guy that you can get at 2.5 who's probably going to be relevant this year. So that's a really good pick at this spot. And hopefully, Jared Goff and him make a nice little connection, and you get a nice steal at 2.5. I like the pick a lot.
All right, 2.6, 2.7 here. We got two New York Jets.
Jets.
There you go. Elijah Moore, Michael Carter. You guys' thoughts on these two picks here?
Yeah, so I like both of them. Elijah Moore is a guy I think I would take over the last two guys taken, but I like Amon-Ra a lot as well. But, and the guy said it perfectly in the comments, Crowder's a free agent after the year and will be let go. And really, I think Crowder is a very realistic cut candidate this year. I think they can save about $10 million even after the guaranteed money by cutting him. So I think Elijah Moore is going to be playing sooner rather than later, but without a doubt, he's the long-term answer at the slot receiver role for the Jets, who just got their new quarterback in Zach Wilson. So I like that a lot. And Michael Carter, Michael Carter's a guy, we talked about a lot on the Spotlight series as a great, third down back, and he even walks into a situation where they don't even have a true early down back, so he could walk into a very big role as a rookie, long-term paired with Zach Wilson. I think he could be a great, I think he's best served as a complement running back, but as of right now, it's Michael Carter's show until someone else walks in the building.
Yeah, I like Carter a lot. I think he can play 3 downs. I just don't know if he'd hold up in that role. But at the very least, his floor is going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of dump off from Zach Wilson. So I like that. And Elijah Moore, one of the more talented receivers in the draft. And I know it seems like it's a crowded depth chart, but as Tony Sarah put in there, Crowder done after this year. And that should open up a lot of playing time for him. It should be a great spot. And again, 2.6, great value on a guy like Elijah Moore.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Fantasy Island. I hate drafting Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First thing I read, I'm like, hey, I agree with you.
I think it's finally starting to.
A little bit.
They're starting to build.
Carter, a guy I do have my eye on, though.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Dynasty Al. Looks like you jumped in here and took Mac Jones. I think it was a good deal here at 2.8.
Yeah, so I don't even love Mac Jones, but we saw that huge run on quarterbacks go, so obviously Mac Jones was the only one left. And then the players we saw go immediately after, Chuba Hubbard, who's going to back up McCaffrey, and there's guys like Eskridge and Amari Rogers with potential. But for the most part, I thought Mac Jones was, he's going to be a starting quarterback in this league for a while. Is he going to be a top end QB1? No. Probably not a chance of that. Is he going to be a QB2 for the next 10 years? I would like to think so, and there's still value in that. Yeah. So why not get a potential long-term quarterback at the 2.8?
Yeah, I like that. Little Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, if you could get Kirk Cousins at a 2.8, like, that's...
Yeah, you take him.
Yeah.
All right, the next guy, we got Chuba Hubbard at 2.9. One thing I do like about this pick, I think if he slips anywhere like 2.9, 2.10, even further in the draft, even if you're not drafting, Chuba to keep, I think the moment you draft him at 2.11, you can automatically trade him to the McCaffrey owner for a future second and a third. I would think anyway.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot just because of where you're getting him. And, Chuba Hubbard's a guy we talked about. Talent-wise, I mean, it's there. He's had some issues with injury, and, yeah, he didn't look so great, after that one big season. But, I think this is going to be a good spot for him. And I think, as we've talked about, maybe a little less carries for McCaffrey means a little more work for Chuba Hubbard. It won't be anything like super crazy, but it'll be interesting to see how he works in that offense. And it'll give you a good indication of whether you should be excited or not for him. And at 2.9, it's worth that pick.
I just got one thing to add. I hope Chuba Hubbard gets a sponsorship with Hubba Bubba Max bubblegum.
That would be amazing.
I like it. It's funny since you took the dad bod himself.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that. I was drafted from my phone. Nice.
And the next guy here, I'll be honest, this is a guy I don't know a ton about, so I'm kind of interested to hear what you guys have to say about Dwayne Eskridge in Seattle.
I mean, I don't have a ton. I think he's a good player. I watched a couple of Maction games on a Tuesday night, Wednesday, whatever it is, and he stuck out to me. But obviously Seattle, little crowded. He's going to have to fight for targets with a lot of guys that are being drafted in the second round of legit drafts like DK Metcalf. So. Yeah, as much as I think he's a good player, I don't know. It's worth a shot though at 2.10. I think he's good enough to take that risk.
And Amari Rogers at the 2.11, a guy that would probably be getting drafted higher if it wasn't for the Green Bay rumors, Aaron Rodgers rumors. Then 2.12, final pick of the second round, Kenneth Gainwell, a guy I haven't seen a ton about on Twitter, man. And just quite a bit. A lot of guys. I mean, I've even seen people saying Miles Sanders is done in Philly. I mean, I don't think it's that.
Yeah. Gainwell's a guy I liked a lot pre-draft. I don't love the landing spot because I do think Miles Sanders is definitely still the superior back. But yeah, if Miles Sanders gets dinged up again, I think Kenneth Gainwell could have some weeks. I think he's a great handcuff if you're the Sanders owner.
All right.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, going to move on here to the third round. Got Freiermuth at the 3.1. A pick that I really like. Go ahead, floor's all yours.
I just think, to me, he was maybe the best player available in a great situation. Obviously, Ebron there right now, but long term, I think Freiermuth could very well be, he's a Pittsburgh guy too. I think he could end up being like a Heath Miller type where he's just there forever and they just use him a bunch. And I mean, that's pretty much it. I love the landing spot for him and I love him as a player, so I think it made a lot of sense.
All right, and I'm going to be posting these third round picks for these guys to see. We're not going to talk about each one of these guys individually. If you guys want to touch on any of these third round picks that do stick out to you, floor's all yours.
So I'm going to touch on one. This is a guy, well, actually, no, I want to touch on a couple. But the first one I want to touch on is a guy who I think was an awful pick in the real NFL draft. Very highly overdrafted. But to get him in the mid-third round of a Dynasty rookie draft, which is later than he actually went, Tutu Atwell, I know it's a crowded receiver room with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, but we know Matthew Stafford.
There you go.
Almost called him Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford's coming in. We know he can throw a deep ball. We know Tutu's fast. And also, don't forget this offense. It supported three receivers when it was Cooks, Kupp, and Woods. So I know Tutu's definitely not a Brandon Cooks level receiver, but he could have some weeks where I think he's a best ball type player, but mid-third round, not an awful spot, especially if, a guy like Robert Woods goes down or something. I think Tutu could get a lot of touches. So, yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I actually like that pick as well. And let's see, for me, I like 3.4 Davis Mills. This is a guy who was the number one quarterback coming out of high school. Just didn't really do a whole lot at Stanford, but I mean, he's in Houston, and at this point, it seems like he might be starting this year. So to get a starting quarterback for at least 1 year at 3.4, that's pretty good value. I'm honestly kind of surprised he dropped this low, for that reason. But yeah, I don't know. And it could end up paying off big time, long term.
Davis Mills might be a guy you get a lot of since you got all your Deshaun Watson shares.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Anybody else?
I took Elijah Mitchell at the 3.8. Reason being is he was one of my favorite guys before the draft, and then I love the landing spot. I know they got Trey Sermon significantly earlier, so it's going to be Sermon's job to lose. But if Sermon goes down, and even if Sermon's healthy, I think Elijah Mitchell could carve out a role. He's athletic. He's still over 200 pounds. He's got really nice speed. So yeah, I think he could hit. Especially we see these San Fran running backs. They all have their weeks, so,
Yeah.
There'll be a week here or there he scores over 20 points. You're not going to know when it's going to be, but it'll happen.
Right. I got a couple I'll touch on real quick.
Yeah.
Javian Hawkins, for one. I like him as a player, and, Mike Davis really the only one in Atlanta right now, so he's got a shot to push for touches from the get-go. And Josh Palmer's another one that intrigues me, just because Mike Williams obviously has had some trouble staying healthy. And Palmer's a guy that a lot of people were really big on going into the draft. So, if he pans out like people think and, Mike Williams goes down, you could be getting a guy opposite Keenan Allen that does a lot at, 3.10. That's really good value. So.
Yeah, and a bunch of guys, to be honest, I don't know a ton about some of these guys. I do know, one of these guys in the third round is probably going to be a great value.
Yeah.
It's just finding out which one it's going to be.
It's just the way it goes. Yeah.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this edition. Thanks so much for watching. If you could, hit the like and subscribe button. Come be a part of the Masters family. Look for our place play Dynasty football. Got over 600 leagues. Never folded a single one. With that said, any last words, guys?
Thanks for watching.
Yes, thank you. Thank